Morning, I am Dr. Dhanasri, working in St. Peter's Engineering College, taking classes for BTech first year students on environmental science. Last class we have discussed about Unit 5 EIA. Unit 5 is about environmental policy, legislation and EIA. In continuation with the EIA, what are the impacts of various developmental activities on air, water, soil, biological and socioeconomic aspects? Today we are going to discuss. Overview of impact of air. Quality of air is affected by various developmental projects in construction phase as well as operation phase. This impact basically depends on wind speed in that area, direction of the wind, humidity, and other meteorological conditions play a significant role in determining the impact of these air pollutants on human and vegetation. In this picture you can see whatever the gaseous compounds or smoke released out, pollutants released out is moving only in this way. That means the air is blowing from this side to this side. The people residing or vegetation found in this side are affected more for that period. Quantity of emission of harmful gases into the atmosphere from projects and its impact on the surroundings are also measured. Suspended particulate matter, volatile hydrocarbons, gaseous compounds like carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen. Mostly these three are emitted out by burning of combustion of fossil fuels from automobiles, heavy metals from industries, etc. Released by various processes, changes the air quality and it affects human health and other living species, and also we can see corrosion, disfigurement on the materials like iron, marble, etc., losing of strength of leather goods, all these things we can see. We have studied this in air pollution chapter 4th unit about this impact of air on various compounds like human, plants, animals and materials. Ambient monitoring programs are conducted using dispersion models for measurable parameters including particulate matter, volatile organics, semi-volatile organics, gaseous constituents, and a multitude of specialty contaminants to prepare environmental impact assessment on air. This is air quality monitoring system. In this picture you can see. Coming to the overview on impact of water. Developmental activities affects the quality of water. Water is extracted for various projects and in turn that various projects will pollute our water bodies. Various toxic chemicals added to the water bodies changes the composition of the water. That means physical composition as well as chemical and biological composition are also changed by these pollutants added to the water, and by this it is becoming undesirable for life to exist in that water bodies. That means aquatic life, it is difficult for them to exist in that water bodies, and for us it is undesirable to consume. We cannot consume that water when it is getting changed by these addition of various pollutants into that water body. Biodegradable and organic wastes, when they are added to the water bodies, they deplete dissolved oxygen percentage affecting the aquatic life. When the dissolved oxygen percentage is very less, life cannot exist in that water body. Because of addition of more biodegradable or organic waste, the microorganisms are consuming the dissolved oxygen for degradation of this, and as the dissolved oxygen is used by the microorganisms, automatically the dissolved oxygen percentage will be less in that water body. Next, coming to toxic and non-biodegradable substances, when they are added to water bodies, causes bioaccumulation and biomagnification. We all know bioaccumulation means accumulation of non-biodegradable substances in one species body, in one organism body is called bioaccumulation. And if that increase in the concentration through aquatic food chain, if it is seen, it is called biomagnification. With this, you can see various diseases in human, so they are affecting the human health. In this picture, you can see impact of mining on surface water body. Sometimes this mining also pollutes the groundwater resources. Here in this picture near the Sundarbans, you can see impact of coal mine. Water totally changed into black color. Here you can see water changed into orangish red color due to various minerals released into this water body. Overview on impact of socioeconomic aspects. Developmental projects show both positive and negative impacts on socioeconomic aspects. If we see what are the negative impacts, by taking a small example of hydroelectric project, local people are displaced from that area due to this project, and many villages, low-lying areas, have to be vacated due to submergence. This will be a socioeconomic impact, negative impact, and proper rehabilitation for resettlement should be adapted. Then coming to positive impacts, with the same reservoirs, if you take the positive impact, it helps in hydropower, generation of hydropower. It provides irrigation to large areas, and many people are settled in their life by having jobs in that area, in a reservoir, working in that hydropower plant and reservoir, and upliftment in the lifestyle of local people by having various basic amenities like school, hospital, proper roads and other things. So with a developmental project, we can have both positive as well as negative socioeconomic impact. And highways, another example, highways helps in transportation, that is a positive impact, reducing fossil fuel consumptions, all these are positive impact. And infrastructure facilities in various sectors like medical, education, commercial, recreation, etc. are also coming under positive impacts. Next, overview on biological impact. Flora and fauna, that is plants and animals, are also affected by various developmental projects. Potential damage done due to projects, effluents released by them, emissions emitted into the air by them, and landscaping. Few examples we can see how the biological impact is there seen due to various developmental projects. Construction proposal of reservoir in a forest area leads to deforestation and habitat loss. And if any mineral identified in a forest area or in a cropland by mining activities are resulting in deforestation if it is identified in forest area. Best example we can have recently in Nalgonda forest area, they have identified uranium, and deforestation if it is identified in a cropland area, a good mineral. And construction of large industries often accompanied by cutting of many trees, polluting air or water bodies, thereby affecting many animal species living in that area. It affects even terrestrial and both aquatic animals. Developmental activities in a place where endemic species and endangered species are more, loss to that species, we can see it becomes an irreversible impact. When we lose that species forever, as it is an endemic species seen only in that particular area but not elsewhere in this world, then if we lose such type species, it becomes an irreversible impact. Strategies of risk assessment. Risk assessment is the characterization of the potential adverse effect of human exposure on environmental hazards. A special assessment procedure that aims at tackling certain consequences of human activities is called risk assessment. The stages in risk assessment are hazard identification, exposure assessment, risk estimation, risk evaluation, and risk management. Coming to next topic in this EIA, EMP, Environment Management Plan. Environment Management Plan is prepared to minimize the negative impacts. Till now we have discussed various positive and negative impacts. For minimizing the negative impacts, Environment Management Plan was prepared, and to increase the positive impacts. The Environment Management Plan consists of all mitigation measures for each component of the environment to restore the damage caused to environmental components. Either it can be in air, water, or soil. The Environmental Management Plan is a site-specific plan developed to ensure that the project is implemented in an environmental sustainable manner by predicting the potential environmental risks arising from the proposed project and taking appropriate actions to properly manage that risk so that negative impacts can be reduced. The Environment Management Plan outlines existing and potential problems that may adversely impact the environment and recommends corrective measures where required. The Environment Management Plan outlines the roles and responsibilities of the key personnel and contractors who are charged with the responsibility to manage the proposed project. The Environment Management Plan is prepared in accordance with the rules and requirements of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and Climate Change and Central Pollution Control Board. The various mitigation measures or remedial measures discussed in the Environment Management Plan. First, we see the technological solutions. The technological solutions helps in minimizing the adverse impact caused by various projects and developmental activities. There are various cleaner technologies which helps in releasing much less pollutants. Also by using the raw materials effectively so that the pollutants can be reduced by proper and appropriate technologies we are using in industries. And also by recovery and recycling process of waste generated, adverse impacts can be reduced. This is another method of reducing the adverse impact, negative impacts. Next one, preventive methods. Preventive measures are project specific. For example, in a project like where the forest area has to be disturbed, if we are planning for a dam or such thing in a forest area, to prevent the loss of wildlife due to project in forest area, measures are taken in advance for safe and timely migration of such species to another nearby forest area. If a time is given for the wild species living in that area, for if any project is planned in that forest area, so that the animals can migrate to the nearby safe area and loss of wild species you can avoid or you can prevent. To prevent the damage, another example, to prevent the damage caused to the environment by hazardous chemicals released by industries, they should be handled properly, and by removing the hazardous chemicals from the site and properly disposed of, we can reduce the damage caused with these hazardous chemicals. Next, control measures. Air pollutants released from various industries or power plants, etc., can be controlled by establishing filters in the industries like cyclone separators, bag hose filters, wet scrubbers, and electrostatic precipitators. These we have discussed earlier in the 4th unit itself. Here we can see one picture. It is cyclone separator to filter the particulate matter in the source point itself, in the industry itself, which reduces the air pollutants released from that industry. It reduces negative impact. Next, treatment methods. Effluents released from various industries can be treated to harmless or less toxic by following effluent treatment methods like primary treatment, secondary treatment, and tertiary treatment technologies. Here we can see a effluent treatment plant where the toxic water or polluted water is treated and converted into a less toxic or harmless water and before releasing that into the water body. And groundwater contamination and surface water contamination can be reduced by sewage treatment plant and effluent treatment plant. Another environment management plan strategy is green belt development. Growing trees and shrubs are mandatory for any project to reduce the concentration of carbon dioxide and other toxic gases concentrations in atmosphere. Some species can grow in soil contaminated with heavy metals. Some species like microorganisms can grow in the soil where it is contaminated with heavy metals, and by consuming that heavy metal they can reduce the concentration of that heavy metal in the soil. So this is also one more aspect where by using the microorganisms we can remove the heavy metal contamination from the soil. And sometimes we can use we can grow some plants, some types of herbs where they can be able to grow in a contaminated soil and they remove the contaminants from the soil. So when the plants are planted in that area, it also reduces the soil contamination, and by growing the plants on trees surrounding our various industrial projects and highways, we can reduce the air pollution. Here you can see a greenery and near a commercial area or near a building, and it is must for all the industries and also for highways to have plantations surrounding them. For today we have discussed about EIA and EMP. Next class we will discuss the other topics in the 5th unit. Thank you.